Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel, and welcome back to Green River. This is episode number 8, and we are picking up almost where we left off in episode number 7. Um, as I had indicated in the end of episode number 7, we would essentially make 3 episodes out of this game day. I suppose I made a little bit of an error in the sense that I think when I started episode number 7, I think I thought that the day was a little bit younger than it actually was, even though I'm pretty sure I had looked at the clock and fully knew that it was well after noontime. And so, needless to say, we got started mowing this field here, and we tethered it. Well, the tethering was kind of a little bit of a kind of a mess, if you want to know, honestly. And so I ended up actually going and picking up the rake just to kind of rake things and make things a little bit more uniform. And so that sort of led to maybe using a little bit more time than what I had wanted to essentially use out of this particular game day number 4. And so needless to say, we are about 6:15 in the evening here, and we are just now pressing hay pellets into the Corona pellet pressing baler, for lack of a better description, and making okay progress. I mean, we basically just started. I've maybe pressed about 2,500 liters or so just to test and make sure that we were going to be able to get this Corona pellet pressing baler underneath or above the Penta DB50, and I tell you, it just barely does fit. And that's really, I've got to say, if I have more sort of complaints towards the straw harvest mod, if I'm allowed to complain just a little bit, after all, I did pay money for it, so I do have the right to voice my opinions, I suppose. Is that the loading chute for this baler, for this pellet pressing mechanism, is a little bit too low. It would be nice if it was a little bit higher, just so that it would accommodate a little bit more of a variety of equipment. And it seems like some of the utilities, some of the trailers, some of the other implements and everything that are sort of out there for us to use are all somewhat, or some of them are sort of limiting on the type of equipment that you can use with them. For example, I was watching a Eustace Farmer video today. Actually, Eustace released 3 videos last night, and what an amazing set of videos that he did release. And hopefully we won't catch it'll kind of clip through, so we'll just kind of pretend like that doesn't happen. But anyway, he was demonstrating some an auger system, a grain silo and auger system and everything, and very, very well done video, by the way, I must add. I always enjoy Eustace Farmer's videos very, very much. And so he was demonstrating this, and of course the little auger pipe that he was demonstrating is quite short, and I don't even know if we could get the Penta DB50 under it well enough. And so anyway, that's just kind of maybe a little bit of my complaint, is that they don't necessarily take into consideration that some folks want to play with a little bit larger equipment, and I certainly absolutely love that Penta DB50 tipper. It is my favorite tipper, and I think I have used that tipper on just about every single map. I say that I don't think I have it on Tazewell County, because Tazewell is laid out a little bit differently, and I was using some of the smaller tipper trailers with Tazewell, and of course using the larger equipment as well. But for some of the smaller, closer in work that we have been doing, and I'm going to just basically do this section here, I think, in pellets, since that's where we've got the tipper is right up here. That way we can kind of run back and forth. and empty this. But anyway, I sort of digress, and I really don't mean to be critical of mods or DLC or any of these kind of things, because quite honestly, like many of you, I'm so appreciative to Giants. I'm so appreciative to the modding community, whether it be those guys that make these very incredible looking mods. You know, these guys that can use Blender. I mean, for me, Blender is something that my wife has to remind me to make sure that I put the top on the blender before I turn it on. That's really all I know about Blender, and of course I know it's a completely different completely different thing, but very, very talented people, and I really try to refrain from being overly critical. But you know, I have an opinion, and well, like I said, I purchased the DLC, so I have every right to talk about it. And after all, this is the Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel, and I am Grizzly Bear Sim. So hey, there we go. Anyway, we're going to make some pellets. I don't know just exactly how many pellets we're going to actually press in this episode. Maybe we'll do it for another 10 or 15 minutes or so, and then we're going to most likely bale the rest of this hay into square bales, because I don't think that, you know, I think by the time if we were to actually press all of these, I think it would probably be dark 30 by then. And well, we don't really have any lights out here in this pasture, and not sure how bright the moon is going to be and all that kind of stuff. And so needless to say, that's, I think, what the plan is. And the other, I guess the other thing is that you know, quite honestly, we really only, you know, I don't want to like completely make the entire series about the straw harvest DLC, about pressing pellets and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to do sort of a variety of things, and we are going to do hay pellets, and we're probably going to do some straw pellets. And of course, a lot of this is going towards funding the operations on the farm here. And of course, we've sort of spelled all of that out as to how we're going to do things and all of that. So I'm not going to go back into those details, but yeah, the hay pellets and the straw pellets are definitely part of that plan, part of that master plan, as far as funding everything around here. And I think we've done an actually we've done a pretty good job of that. I'm pleased with how we're doing. Of course, we've sold a couple of loads of compost at this point, and that has helped really keep everything in the black and kept all of our expenses and everything going. Now, all right, well, sorry about that little bit of an edit there. I actually completely lost my train of thought. I'm not sure what I was going to say, but I got distracted because I got a phone call and I needed to take that. I may have explained in the ATS video that you guys watched earlier this week that we had a little bit of a fender bender the other night, and that was actually the insurance company, the person that caused the accident. That was her insurance company calling me to verify some things on an appointment that I have tomorrow to have them come out and take a look at the car and provide an estimate. Of course, they provide an estimate, and then I take the car to the repair shop that I care to choose, and of course they do another estimate and compare notes and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm sorry, I had to take that call, and I got just a bit distracted because of that, because that's been kind of weighing heavy on my mind of recent. And so anyway, that is all done, but I completely forgot what I was going to say and where I was going with that, so my apologies, because it kind of sounds like I've lost my mind. But that is what happens when you get distracted, and you kind of have to put things aside and go about your business here. So anyway, making good progress. I think that our money situation, I think I was speaking about our money situation before the phone call. Our money situation is good. I think we've got good plans to continue to do a little more forestry, to make some wood chips, keep the compost plant running. We've got a little bit more fuel down in the fuel plant, the bio fuel plant. And we're going to bring some of that back here to the main farm. I think we will most likely try to purchase. I don't know how much it costs, that fuel, because we actually have a fuel cell point here on the main farm where we can buy fuel directly out of the tank, but that sort of defeats the purpose of making our own biofuel. So I kind of think what we need to do is we need to buy a larger capacity fuel tank, and most likely we'll buy that little one that we sort of use on Tazewell County. And while we're emptying this, I will just bring this up here and take a look and see how much this guy costs. It's this little guy here, 3,750 gallons or liters of fuel, and it sells for $8,500. So I think we will buy that, because like I said, I'm pretty sure that the money that we will save in using our own fuel and not buying it out of the pump like that will certainly go a long ways towards paying for that little fuel tanker trailer. And I think that's what I want to do. So look for us to probably make that purchase maybe the next game day, because this tractor is getting awfully thirsty. We're down to 82 liters, and I think when we started this episode, I think it was well over 100. So of course, using these implements and stuff like a baler and whatnot does cause extra stress on the engine, which obviously causes it to consume more diesel. So we probably need to get that trailer and get that over here. And again, I think we'll save tremendously on that by being able to do that. Either that, the other alternative I suppose would be to fill up the yellow tanker that we have over at the compost facility and just drag that over here, and I think we can fill from that tanker trailer. I think so. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I'll test that and we'll see what we need to do. And I just completely missed that little spot there. I picked up our pickup a little bit too quick, but getting all the pieces picked up, I really do like a nice clean field kind of after we get done mowing and baling and all that kind of stuff. We'll go down here and start one more row up. Look, just kind of keeping an eye on the timer. We're about 14 minutes into this video. I'm not really sure. I think this is the third or fourth. I think this is maybe the fourth load of pellets that we've pulled out of here. So again, just kind of keeping everything within some limits. I don't want to go too excessive on really doing any one thing a whole lot during this series. This is kind of a little bit different for me. Yeah, I know I typically do run some of the industries, like on a Stevie map, for example. I will run some of the industries that he has placed on the map. We did that with Snetterton while we were playing that series, that map. We kept the greenhouses going. We fired up the compost facility and did some of that stuff. Made some seeds, made some fertilizer, stuff like that. This is a little bit of a different type of approach for me, just simply because I have chosen to kind of go about this a little bit differently as far as this Let's Play series is concerned. And we are kind of starting out, or we did start out with all the equipment that I felt that we would need to play the map, and then we have been kind of really controlling our money. I can't remember how much money we started with. I'm thinking around $25,000, I think, is what we started with on episode number 1. And of course, like I said, we've sold some compost, and we've done some other things. I don't know if we've sold any eggs yet, but we do have some eggs in our basket, and probably should take those in and drop those off and sell those. But I think what we will do is we will do this very last row here. I'm not sure if this goes all the way down or not, or if it's a partial row, but we'll do this row, or I tell you what, we'll fill this up one more time, because I think this is just a partial row unless it's yet to render into the scene there. And then we'll come up on this other side over here and pick that row up. That should top us up. and then we'll switch implements. We'll grab the Corona baler, and we'll go down to that other end of the field and bale that hay, which should go pretty quick because the baler obviously bales much quicker, and we don't have to empty it. It's got that stacker on it, and I've actually never used that baler, and I've never used that stacker before. And of course, that is sort of another reason for doing the using more of the straw harvest equipment and everything, is because obviously we buy and pay for this stuff, and especially with the straw harvest mod, and I've talked about this I think in Tazewell County, is that we don't know if this mod will, or if this deal, it's actually a DLC because it's a paid DLC. We don't know if this will actually be ready or be available to us in FarmSim 19. Normally history tells us that when Giants releases a DLC, like for example last year, or for FarmSim 15 they released the Homer DLC. Well, that equipment was part of FarmSim 17. We would expect that the big bud equipment, we would expect that the horse stuff, the coon DLC equipment, and also the horse mod stuff that we got, that would also be available for FarmSim 19. But because the relationship, the situation with the straw harvest mod is a little bit different in the sense that this is not Giants. This is some completely different, and of course it was produced and everything by Aerosoft. So we don't know if this will be available to us in FarmSim 19. I've sort of talked about the fact, the information that I kind of know about the way that Aerosoft works, and of course if there's only a little bit of tweaking that needs to be done to make it work with 19, then they likely will charge a very low cost to get into the version for 19. But I don't know. I guess it kind of depends on how successful. It probably depends on how successful the sales have been for this particular straw add-on harvest for FarmSim 17 as to whether or not they will make it available to us in 19 in any shape, form, or fashion. I don't really know. So all that I know is what I've just basically said, and I realize that is not a whole lot. All right, so I'm going to do this. We're going to disconnect from this rig here, and I really do think that little stacker on the back of that Corona baler, I think that thing has the heebie-jeebies because it bounces around. I had struggled to get this thing out of the garage the other day. So we're going to pull that right there, and we're going to stop, and we're going to get out, and we're going to run over here to our Kloss tractor and our Penta DB50, and we are going to, at the very least, go ahead and put this material, almost 40,000 liters of hay pellets. We're going to go ahead and back this up and drop this into the pellet haul, and hopefully I can do this. It is a little bit of a tight fit. I would hope that I'm actually surprised. One thing does surprise me just a little bit, is I'm surprised that some of our very talented modders have not come up with a modded version of the pellet haul to maybe make it a little bit bigger, maybe make it a little bit more let me zoom my camera in here. Let's see if I can back this in. But I'm really surprised that some of our talented modders haven't sort of developed a replacement for the pellet haul. Something modded, something maybe with a little bit larger facility, maybe some larger doors or something. Because again, don't limit us to just always using teeny tiny equipment, whether it's Giants or it's DLC or it's even some, oops, wrong gear, even some third-party situation like this is. you know, don't lock us into that. Give us some options. Give us the ability to basically use larger equipment if we want to, and all that kind of stuff. And anyway, and it would be cool. Maybe it would actually be cool if the pellet hall had, you know, like an auger system where we could dump on the outside. Dump our straw pellets on the outside, and it would, you know, bring them into the facility and everything a little bit easier. So I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens. So again, this is the first time that I've used this equipment. It's the first time I've used a stacker. So I need to bring up my F1 menu here and see what is what here. So we're going to unfold the bell stacker. I think that's what we're doing. Yep, we've just done that. So it's unfolding. And then I think we'll go back up to the baler. And we need to go ahead and, I think these are all standard controls there, so I don't need the F1 menu anymore. We'll turn the baler on, lower the pickup, and we'll do some baling. And again, this should go, I think, fairly quick, because again, the baler is just like baling anything else. It just happens to be a Corona baler. But it's going to bring the hay bales out onto the stacker, like so. Scoots one over to the left, and then the other one over to the right, and then the third one right down the middle, and then it just drops all three of them off, just like that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Some of these rows ended up being quite large, because I did kind of combine them into multiples. Just because, again, it was a little bit, it was completely, well, it was completely my bad. I completely made a kind of another rookie error, kind of like I did on Tazewell County a few episodes ago. I should have just went ahead and did the widespread, especially since we were going to make this hay. Did the widespread, do the tethering, and then come along behind with the rake and get it all raked into windrows. But it all works out. It's all going to happen. We're going to get all of this stuff stored nice and neat and out of the weather and everything. Now, what we will do for the next episode, and I believe that will be episode number 9, and you'll see that next week, is we will start that episode off. It'll be a brand new game day. It'll be game day number 5, and we'll start that off, and we'll start off by getting the pellet hall going. So we'll load up the pellet hall hopper mechanism that basically feeds the pellets into the conveyor and puts them in the packages and wraps all of that and everything. We will do that at the beginning of that episode, and then we're most likely going to be out doing some field work. Either we will do some plowing, some cultivating, some fertilization, or some seeding or something, and keep the chains moving in the right direction down the field, because we need to continue planting to get our crops in, and get our seeds in the ground and everything. And then we can certainly double back and occasionally check on the progress of the pellet packing facility, and we'll keep the pallets and everything moved off of the conveyor line, so it will continue to produce. And like I said, we've got about 40,000 liters of pellets, so that ought to make a pretty good set of pellet pallets, that should be. And then that hopefully will bring a pretty good payday for us whenever we go to sell those over at the garden center. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are about 25 minutes into our video, into our episode here, and I think I kept you guys a little bit late yesterday in the previous video. Maybe, maybe not, I can't remember. I haven't edited that video down yet. Anyway, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to go ahead and say goodbye to all of you. I hope you will all continue to take very good care of yourself and also of each other. I do sincerely appreciate you guys watching my videos and being a part of the community here with me and being my friends, and asking your questions and all those kind of things. Very, very important to me. And yeah, so thank you all again so very much. And please tune in for our next episode coming up next week, I believe it will be, for you all. And we'll get the pellet haul going and do some other things here on the farm and just keep moving our progress along. Again, folks, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.